Well, this may be an engineering masterpiece for the outdoors. A first of its kind, one of its kind, multi-layered, multi-geometried grind. These are different grind layers all the way down to the edge on a premium, not only fit and finish, but materials, camp knife. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another blade review here at the channel. If you're new, I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. And for the past several months, I have been putting the Olive Knives Arbor through its paces to test out this extremely unique Fibonacci grind. And yes, I have harnessed the power of teleportation, being able to go from the high country to the blade boot camp instantaneously for all of you here on YouTube. Now, the name Fibonacci may ring some bells for you because it did for me. And when I did some research, I was reminded that it is named after Leonardo Fibonacci, a 13th century Italian mathematician who basically discovered what they call the golden ratio. And it's just a sequence of numbers that we not only find in algorithms for computers, but also in nature on how plants grow. And it's just this really mathematically perfect, basically, equation. And so the Olive Knives Arbor follows that equation and gives us multiple grind positions. Basically, from the spine, you have two flats that then kick in slightly and do another set, and they just tear themselves down all the way to the edge. So in theory, it's a hybrid of basically a convex grind, like on this S1 from FALLKNIVEN, and a flat grind like on this TRC Polheim, kind of giving us the best of both worlds, you know, in concept, giving us extra durability over a flat grind because of this tiered ratio system, but then simultaneously easier to resharpen because the knife has, you know, a standard, you know, non-convex grind, basically making it easier to resharpen the actual edge than a convex grind would be. So I'm going to circle back a little bit later to actually talk about how does this stack up to those two different types of grinds. Is in performance something you're going to notice or not? We'll get back to that a little bit later. But it is designed to be like an overbuilt belt knife. And so when it comes to that type of performance, what we're looking at is just over 4.5 inches, like 4.54 inches long. The stock thickness, full tang all the way through, is going to be 0.177. So it's in between 5/32 and 3/16, and it's going to weigh 9 ounces for the knife itself. And so what that means is that it's a pretty burly 4.5-inch tool. And when I started pounding on this thing, it is very capable for its size. Not only can you delimb and chop through stuff with ease, I would say anything the size of your wrist or smaller isn't going to take that much energy and effort to do. Batoning, if you can span it, it absolutely cracked it open without any sort of issue, side splitting, you name it. The tip is thick and broad, and with our stabbing, you know, 5 times lateral side to side on a 2x4, no problem. You know, it's pretty thick and broad, so it's not going to be really fine for, say, like cleaning a fish or some sort of precision tip work. There are better options, but that means and lends itself to a better durable design on the tip. So it's definitely a stout, durable tool for all the impact and hard use side of applications. But oftentimes those type of knives, yes, they're bulldozers, but they're not good for, you know, fine cutting, precision cuts, that type of stuff. Well, thankfully, because of this initial Fibonacci grind and the factory edge, yes, I haven't reprofiled that. I just ran on a ceramic rod once after all the use just to kind of hone it. It's no slouch when it comes to carving, making a feather stick, you know, getting those curls going. You know, it's not going to take a ton of pressure. You don't have to do a lot of sawing through cordage, rope, those type of things, zip ties, you know, that type of stuff. There's not a lot of back and forth because of a really broad, you know, geometry. It's still going to have some really good precision. And one area where I saw the Fibonacci grind really excel is like with food prep. Food isn't going to stick to the blade because of those little transitions as much as other grinds. And I also saw that do well with like cardboard and a lot of slicing. So if you're going through materials like that, like slicing, because of the way the grind is designed, it definitely doesn't drag as much as maybe other grinds sometimes do. And one little detail on the blade that highlights just the attention to detail, the premium nature of the design, is that the spine is crowned from where you see the word olive basically all the way around, so that, you know, gives nice ergonomics and a really comfortable non-sharp shouldered placement for your thumb. But then the rest right after that, you can actually even see just the drop slightly, is a nice sharp 90-degree spine that you can scrape with and easily throw sparks to get a fire going, lending itself to not only comfortability of ergonomics, but then also capability in fire prep. Now in just a moment, we're going to take a look at not only the steel choice, but it's always good to know when a new knife company comes on the scene where the knives are being made, the process. That just gives us, you know, an extra level of understanding and potential trust in not only the design, but also the materials in the design. And so in just a moment, I'm going to hit that with you, but I do invite you to like and subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell icon so you can be notified every week when I break down gear and equipment for you, showing you pros, cons to help you make wise choices. Now, when I go out on my adventures, there is one piece of gear that keeps earning a place in my loadout, which is today's sponsor. And it's my Zoleo satellite communicator. Now, I can go down the list on all the different specs and capabilities, but ultimately why it keeps earning a place, why do I keep taking it, is because of its standalone capability. The fact that it has up to 200 hours of battery life, and my smartphone is not going to go anywhere near that. That it is water resistant, shock resistant, isn't as temperamental with different temperature swings, things like that, allowing me to then carry it on the exterior of a pack, tuck away my cell phone when I'm doing things that I would never want my phone, to be exposed to, my $1,000 phone. This allows me to, with a push of a button, hit the SOS, send out my GPS coordinates, and I can Bluetooth my phone to it and start communicating with first responders, letting them know the situation. And I can do so much more, including messaging my wife when there's no cell phone coverage, just to let her know I'm doing okay and check in and see how the boys are doing and make sure there's nothing that requires my immediate attention. And with its shareability feature, I can untether it from my phone, give it to my loved ones, friends and family. They can go on their own adventures. As soon as they're back, I just tether my phone back to it, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to have a link popping up as well as in the description box below, where you can start exploring all the different capabilities and features that this Zoleo device offers, because this is just the tip of the iceberg, as well as exploring different subscription plans that can easily fit into any budget, so that you guys can stay connected and have just extra peace of mind when you go out exploring on all of your adventures. Now, LMAX is the steel that the Arbor is being produced with. And I was able to actually speak with the owner, Andre, and the founder of the company. And this is really interesting. He's from South Africa, but now lives in the United States. He has machining access down there and owns some of the machining down there. So the LMAX is machined with the Fibonacci Grind in South Africa, and then it is shipped to the United States, where Peter's Heat Treat does the hardening and cryo treatment, bringing it to 60 to 61.5 HRC. So if you're into knives, you know Peter's Heat Treat, some of the best around. And then that is an excellent HRC for LMAX. And then the final sharpening is done here in the US, and the G10 handle scales are mounted, and they are also sourced here in the US. So very, very high quality. I can see and just tell the fit and finish, all of that done really well. And for a new company, they are choosing some of the best people in the industry to, process basically and heat treat and cryo the LMAX. Now, LMAX is going to hold an edge for a very long time. It's kind of a bear to resharpen in the field, but I've always had really good success with its durability and wear resistance. But I always love hearing from you guys, so leave a comment below. What's your take on LMAX and your experience with it? And do you enjoy using it on fixed blades of this size or not? Now, a good camp knife has to have a good pair of pants, the sheath. In my opinion, it's got to be something that rides on the belt well, doesn't ride too high, kind of like the gunslinger height is how I prefer, meaning like if you had a 6-shooter, you could easily draw that. So how does this stack up? Because you can have some excellent fit and finish, quality, unique grinds, all that, but if the sheath's crap, you're gonna have to invest a ton more money. Well, the Kydex sheath that this comes with, there is an option for a leather molded sheath that looks really interesting as well. But we're gonna look here at the Kydex drainage hole, pancake design. We got ambidextrous webbing that is double stitched twice, Nice and broad there, easily going to fit on large, you know, like 2-inch belts, that type of stuff. Listen to this. Here we go. Oh wait, here, I'll do it here. Ooh, oh, that felt good right there. Excellent solid click, excellent retention, no slap or rattle. So it's a perfect fit in there, but no kydex on the edge, even from the very first time I pulled it out and deployed it. This is one of the best kydex sheaths you're going to find for a camp knife. I have zero complaints with it. All right, so we know we got a quality blade, and we know the sheath is definitely going to carry the tool well, but what about ergonomics? I mean, that's where you come in contact with the tool, and it either is going to become one with you or it's going to be a nightmare. And, you know, I've been talking about this a lot lately. I prefer geometry over traction. That doesn't mean that there shouldn't be any traction, but, you know, like if the geometry is good, that's first and foremost. Well, they've done an excellent job with the handle geometry. We have a nice rounded, deep guard right there, locking into place, which is important because the black G10 handle scales are high polish. And I do believe they have like a multi-pattern G10 now. They're very high polish, so they're slick, meaning very comfortable, but there's no tread there. There's no jimping anywhere. For a camp knife, totally fine. If it was, you know, designed as a combat knife, you might need a little bit extra tread. But for camping, carving, you know, woodworking, excellent. Rounded everywhere, not a hot spot or shoulder abruption anywhere. Good and thick, 0.82 on the maximum thickness and around each of the tubed pins that hold it, the tubes that hold it into place. It's going to be like 0.62, so it tapers a little bit and then it flares back out near the back with a little bird beak. The balance point is on the back point of this front tube right there. So good balance point. And this is what is really important is, you know, when you look at the span of your hand, when we measure from guard to bird beak, because that's where your hand sits, and I wear large size gloves, that is going to be 4 inches. And I don't know why I'm pulling a blank. I think I need to remeasure. It's 3 1/4 is my knuckle to knuckle span right there. So even with heavy duty winter gloves, I have plenty of real estate. Those with you with large hands, you're really going to get a lot of good grip points right there. You can do a reverse grip and, you know, do shoulder cuts, whatever you want to do. Perfectly laid out for camp work and long cutting tasks. And I'll be very curious to know, no shifting, you know, or issues with the handle. I see comments sometimes you guys are like, I only look at either tubed or pinned handles. I don't like handle scales that are screwed on, bolted on. It doesn't matter to me. Leave a comment below what you think. I mean, it definitely shows a level of extra detail and, you know, quality that handle scales won't shift with tubes or pins. But would love to know your guys' thoughts. All right, we got to land this bird with pricing, competitive options, and my final thoughts on the Fibonacci grind itself, how it, you know, compares to convex and saber grinds and those type of things. Now, I requested this sample. Olive Knives does not pay or sponsor for the content in this video whatsoever. Now, when we look at the pricing, the MSRP is $400, $400. So obviously we are talking about top tier premium. We're in TRC and reef knife realm. You know, that's what we're looking at. Now, there's a lot of machining that goes into this Fibonacci grind, so there's a lot of cost that just goes in there. And when we start looking at other blades, you know, like this TRC right here, you're gonna be really hard pressed to find a difference in quality. The handle scales are perfectly flush, the grind on the tip is perfect, the sheath, all of those things are, you know, exquisite, but obviously you gotta pay for that. Now, when I was initially talking to the company, I was like, hey, is there any way that we can like help the Gideonstactical viewers out? You know, if there are those who want to try this design out, and they were willing to give me a 10% off promo code. So I will have an affiliate link as well as that promo code in the description box below. And so when you apply that, that brings it down to about $360, you know, ballpark. And now we start to become a lot more competitive with more and more blades. So that is included below. And I mean, since I talked about it just a moment ago, we do have that Polheim here, MagnaCut, much smaller blade. This is about $360. And when we start looking at other TRCs with LMAX and other, you know, steels like that around this size range of the Arbor, well, then we're easily at like $375, $400. You know, so very competitive, you know, with like a TRC, and you know, the quality and fit and finish I think is definitely there. And here's another example of another LMAX. This is the M311 by A&B Knives right there, a little bit larger, check made, but these will go between like, I think 330 and 360. Just depends on, you know, where you pick them up and what like color patterns and things you decide to do. Now to the Fibonacci grind itself compared to convex and saber. Now, the only way that I would truly be able to tell if it is this perfect hybrid geometry is if we had the exact same stock thickness, exact same steel, heat treated, all that, and we had 3 blades. We had one that was a flat, one that was a convex, and one that was a Fibonacci, and then do like in a lab a bunch of testing. I don't have access to any of that. So what I can say is that the only area where I really personally in my testing saw a difference compared to those 2 other types of grinds is with basically slicing, like going through cardboard because of the tiered, you know, levels of the grind, and maybe food prep where it just doesn't stick to your blade quite as often. That's nice. You know, and in concept, because we're getting a thicker stock thickness faster than on just a single geometry flat grind, in theory, we should have more meat behind the edge quicker, if that makes sense. And because it has a standard starting edge, it's gonna be easier to resharpen than a convex. So, I mean, ultimately, you're gonna have to determine for yourself if this unique grind is something you wanna try out and, you know, take on an adventure with you or not. But it is definitely something that is a hybrid, it's unique. And the more I think about it, it'll be really curious to see if they start putting this grind on pocket knives where I could see it really maybe making a difference compared to other blades, because we just don't really see that in the pocket knife arena like convex and, you know, thicker blades and those type of things. So, guys, my final thoughts, I mean, extremely well executed camp knife with premium materials, premium fit and finish, a super unique design and grind that you'll have to determine for yourself if you want to try out and take on your adventures or not. I appreciate you guys hanging with me today. If you have questions, leave comments. I'll do my best to answer them. Check out the other videos, subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, always remember to stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.